Welcome to the Speechie Show. Being a speech-language pathologist often means having too much work and not enough planning time. To beat the overwhelm, we're bringing you the tricks and tools that will make your job a little bit easier. Hey everybody, and welcome to the Speechie Show. I'm your host, Carrie Clark from speechandlanguagekids.com. And I am here today with Kelly from speech2u.com. How are you today, Kelly?
I am great.
Thank you so much for being on the show today. We are talking today about what to do when your students shut down and don't want to participate in your session. So Kelly's going to be sharing some awesome tips with us today about how to get some engagement, how to get those students a little more focused and excited about doing what you want to do. So if you are new to this show, this is the Speechie Show. I do this once a week, every Monday afternoon, so more or less. And what I do is I interview a speech-language pathologist, and we talk about one topic. We share 5 tips, and then we do some fun giveaways and talk about our favorite resources. So if you are watching today with us on Facebook Live, welcome. Hang out with us for a while. You'll have a chance to win our giveaways today. I don't know what that chirping is, so sorry about that. So here's my question to you. If you're watching with us live today, do you feel confident about what to do when a student refuses? So you're doing therapy and the student is just not having it. Do you feel like, okay, I got this. I got some things in my bag. I got a bag of tricks. Or do you kind of freak out? Let us know in the comments. Type in how you feel when your students don't participate. And while you're doing that, Kelly, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your business for us?
Sure. So I have been a speech-language pathologist since 1997. So I usually have to pull out the age calculator that Super Duper has to figure out how long, and I forgot to do it before I was on here, so you can do the math. For that, I also have a blog that's called Speech2u.com, and I also create some resources for speech-language pathologists on Teachers Pay Teachers.
Fabulous, fabulous. And what ages are you working with right now?
I am working with ages 2 to probably my oldest is 17 right now, so kind of all different ages.
Perfect. All right. So we're going to be sharing tips with you today on how to get engagement across ages, not just specific to preschool or a certain age group. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to share 5 tips with you today. If you have any questions, you can type those in and we'll take those as we go. And also don't forget to share this on your Facebook page so other people can find us as well. Okay, so the first tip we're going to talk about today is finding special interests and following the students' interests during your sessions. Kelly, tell us how that looks for you.
So for me, I think that our kids, and a lot of the kids that I work with maybe are on the autism spectrum, and they have kind of very unique interests, from maybe being interested in fire extinguisher sprinklers, to Star Wars, to Minecraft, and being able to have like a basic terminology of that can be huge. Like Minecraft has been really big with my adolescent boys lately.
Yeah.
And so I have an 8-year-old, so I have a little bit of extra knowledge with that, but being able to throw out like, oh, is that a creeper or is that Hero Brian? And I don't completely know all of it, but I know enough to get them engaged, and then they can explain, and then we can start that conversation.
Perfect. Yeah. One of the things I really like to do for that is I will open up a PowerPoint presentation on my computer, like just a blank one, and I'll ask them what topic they want to talk about, and it's usually, one of their preferred topics, and we'll type in the topic, and then we'll go over to Google image search with safe search on and type in the topic, and then pictures will come up, and then you can kind of ask like, oh, what's this? And then if you can't understand them, you can click on it, and it'll usually tell you what it is. I did that with Ninjago because I knew nothing about Ninjago and had to figure that one out. So yeah, I love that. I think that's really fun. All right, so first tip, following special interests. The next tip is to make adjustments instead of corrections. Kelly, tell us how that looks.
So this is really the students that maybe don't accept feedback very well or are very sensitive to it. And so I think a lot of times about my students who have articulation issues. And instead of saying like, that didn't sound right, or no, that's not correct, of really saying like, oh, let's try that again, but this time let's move your tongue here, or let's try that again. And this time I want you to bite on your tongue and I want you to blow for like the TH sound. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times that, because they're not hearing that it wasn't wrong, you can keep them kind of engaged. It's like, oh, yep. Okay, let's try this again, but let's do it in kind of a slightly different way.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like a lot of our kids shut down as soon as they hear the, nope, wasn't right. For sure. All right, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and type those in as we go along, or any tough cases, we can help you with those as well. All right, so the next one we're going to talk about is errorless learning and how that can play into your sessions. How do you do that, Kelly?
And so this depends on, I think, on the age of the child. I mean, I think that a lot of times you can give a lot of prompts to them beforehand, so you're almost giving them the answer if I was doing like a WH question. But you can also do, with kind of thinking with questions, is you can really pre-teach the answer beforehand. So if it's something that I want them to do, maybe giraffe. I mean, the word is giraffe. And so I've got my giraffe toys out there and we're playing with them. And I'm like, here's the giraffe. And the giraffe is coming up here. And the giraffe has a long neck. And I am trying to really give them that word giraffe a bunch of times before we come to the question. And then I can say, what is this? And hopefully they've heard that enough times that they can get the word giraffe out. And then they've gotten the answer correct.
Definitely. So do you like to start with those kinds of questions early on in the session where you're giving them lots of answers and then kind of fade back on how much support you're giving them?
Right. Yes. Yeah. So instead of doing, like, I mean, I would think that this is actually kind of an errorless learning technique too, where it's like, what is this? Giraffe. And you give them the answer.
Yes.
Kind of giving them that beforehand. And then hopefully, continuing to kind of prompt and walk through, that so that they can do it independently.
Perfect. I've also used that same technique with my children with echolalia. So if you ask them a question and they just repeat the question, so you say, what is this? And they say, what is this? Then you can do, what is this? Giraffe. And you hop in with the answer before they repeat you. And then you can fade that back. So then it's, what is this? And then have them finish it. Or maybe you just mouth it. So you can kind of use that errorless learning in that way too if they're doing that echolalia. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so so far we've talked about following their interests, getting to know what they like and using that in therapy, making adjustments instead of corrections, and we've talked about the errorless learning or kind of pre-teaching and giving them the answer ahead of time to set them up for success. All right, so Jessica says, my son completely shuts down if he thinks he can't say something. Oh, I've had kids like that too. He refuses to try anything at that point. He has articulation and receptive language disorder. Kelly, do you have any thoughts on that one? What to do when the student thinks he's not going to be able to do it, so he just shuts down?
Shuts down beforehand? That's tricky. I mean, I think that there's a lot of giving him a lot of feedback beforehand on kind of anything that he says, and also being able to look at content versus articulation. So depending on kind of where she is with practicing with him, of really valuing the content of what he's saying. I mean, sometimes it can be tricky, especially for younger kids where we can't understand what they're saying. And a lot of times I put it on me. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, my ears are plugged. I just can't hear you right. And try to kind of, put it on me so that they maybe don't feel as bad about saying that. I think you can also do choices. So that would be another thing. So if you want them to say a word with an S, you can give them kind of two choices. So like, do you want spaghetti or this? And then it doesn't seem like you need to say this word, but you can get that practice in.
Yeah, absolutely. I've also noticed that if you have a child who maybe like every time you sit down to do your speech work, they shut down, you can try switching, and instead of sitting down to work on hard things, sit down and work on something you know they can already do for a little while. And so you say, okay, we're going to sit down and we're going to do this. And if they can't do any speech stuff, maybe it's just clapping hands. Like, okay, do this. And then they clap their hands and you get really excited and you celebrate their victory and you say, wow, you did this. Look, see, you can do this. And then once you build up their confidence of maybe these actions or easier words, easier sounds, then you start throwing in some of the harder ones kind of in between the easier ones to try to just build up their confidence and show them, okay, sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's not, but that's okay. You can do this. Mm-hmm. All right. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say that's a really good idea, too, of kind of building of that success of, like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and then there's a hard task, and they're already kind of on that momentum of, like, I'm saying it, I'm saying it, I'm saying it.
Yes.
I said it. Oh, you know.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, great.
Definitely. And then also, like, going back with speech sounds, back off to a level that they're successful at. So if they can't say the S sound in words, just do a bunch of activities where they just go, S. Maybe you're pretending to be snakes, or something fun where they get to practice the sound but in an easier way, because that's still developing those brain pathways and really making sure that they are able to really feel that sound and understand where it is, even if they're not practicing it in words yet. So that's good too. All right, we had another comment here. Let's see. Any special tips for bright but stubborn teens who refuse to carry over the learned sounds outside of the therapy session? All right, let's see. You got some ideas for teenagers and carryover?
Teenagers are also kind of a tricky group. I mean, I think it's coming back to that idea of motivation of, is it that they're refusing, or that they don't necessarily have the skills to do it automatically? You know, because if we think about change and we think about breaking habits, and especially as a teenager, if they haven't, I mean, they've been practicing the sound for 14 or 15 years. We want them to be able to do it habitually, but it also takes time. So some of it's trying to get them on board with hopefully that motivation piece of feeling like they can do it, and that they can be successful. And then trying to take it outside of the speech room. So maybe it's, you know, like in the hall, we're practicing it. So now we're doing our sessions in the hall, or I'm going to kind of pop into your room and I'm going to listen to you there and try to kind of, you know, get into their space a little bit as unobtrusively as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I think going off of what you're saying about getting buy-in, you really, if they're not motivated to change that behavior, they're not going to change it, you know? So I think if you can do some activities where you talk about, okay, well, why would it be important to work on this? So I think the example was a TH sound for this one. Okay, well, what's going to happen? What do you want to do in your life that is going to be harder because you can't say this TH sound? So maybe that's, okay, well, I would like to get a job. Okay, how might that affect your job interview? Or I want to go on dates. Okay, what do you think somebody's going to think when they hear you talking and you can't say all your sounds? Do you think that they're going to want to go on a date with you? You know, so, I mean, you don't have to be mean about it, but trying to figure out what is it that they really want and tying the skill into that so that they see, okay, there is a reason for me to work on this. Because a lot of those teenagers have been in therapy since they were 3 and they're done. They're all done. So trying to get some buy-in, definitely good there as well. All right. Okay, so we've shared quite a few tips. We've got a couple more, and then we're going to do some giveaways. So hang tight if you're with us on Facebook Live. The next tip we're going to talk about is changing the structure of your sessions. Kelly, how do you change structure to try to get engagement?
So if I go back to kind of when I first started, I feel like one of the things that I used to do that I don't do now is I would have them, you know, some sort of sticker chart or something where they could earn a reward at the end of the session. And for some kids that works well, but for a lot of the children that I see, they don't have the capacity to be able to wait maybe for a 30-minute session or a 20-minute session to kind of get that reward. So what I try to do now is have some sort of really fun, really motivating activity in the first 3 to 5 minutes that we start with. And so sometimes that can just be, you know, talking about Star Wars characters, or sometimes it can be, you know, a popper toy or playing basketball or something that kind of gets that adrenaline going. If you can think of activities that you can do within your speech room. I'm at a clinic setting right now, so sometimes we do a pool noodle sword fight. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that in a school, obviously. So you have to kind of work with the session that you're at. But what that does is it kind of releases endorphins. And so they're feeling really positive. They're feeling like you're really fun. And now you've kind of got that buy-in at the beginning of the session, and you can transition into your work, and then also kind of end with an activity at the end. I think sometimes we get taught that we shouldn't, like speech only plays games. And I think when we can say, well, actually, this is really building motivation, we do it kind of all the time for ourselves. We like to start with something fun at the beginning of our day. So.
Absolutely. I love that. I love the pool noodle sword fight idea. That sounds like fun. I'd get enjoying out of that. Perfect. Okay. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead and type those in as we're going. And then the last one we want to talk about today is giving specific feedback and praise. Kelly, tell us how that looks for you.
Yep. So for most of my kids that I'm working with, or my children or my students that I'm working with, I try to be really specific. I think that we tend to assume that the bad things that happen to us are like our fault, and the good things happen by accident or happy accident. And so really, telling them, hey, you worked really hard. You've been practicing this sound in my therapy room for 3 weeks, and looking back at like before I needed to give you, all of these cues, and now you don't. And that's because of your hard work. And letting them know that they're really that active participant in it. And then also just like, I do a lot of like, we're friends. I love this about you. I love that you are opinionated, and you have really strong feelings about things, and really giving them, for those difficult kids to work with. You really think a lot about Legos. So that you're constantly kind of giving them positive feedback so that they are more willing to interact with you. I mean, if I had to go to the gym and work out with a personal trainer, and he was just like, those squats look horrible. Like, you ate horribly. I mean, those would all be accurate things to tell me, but I probably wouldn't be as motivated as if I had a trainer that was like, wow, like, look at, you did 10 more squats than last week. So.
Oh, I love that. I love it. I'm just imagining me with my trainer who is, she's very, very encouraging, even though I'm doing terrible squats. Oh, I love it. Another way that I've used that specific concept is to do bar graphs with my students over time and let them chart, especially the older children, let them chart, okay, this was your percentage this day, this was your percentage this day, so they can actually see how much progress they've made. And it always amazes me how much pride they can take in that when they see like, wow, I was down here and now I'm up here. It's just, that's a really fun way to do that as well. All right, so those are our tips today. If you guys have more questions, type them in and we'll help you out with your tricky kiddos. But we're going to go ahead and talk today real quick about a favorite resource. Kelly's going to share her favorite toy for her tough kids. And then we're going to do some giveaways. So what's your favorite activity to get your students motivated?
Okay, so this one I actually had to go. I'm on vacation right now, and I had to go to Target and buy another one, which I was really sad. So this is a Papa toy. And there's all sorts of different ones that you can get. But they're really fun for like quick activities that you can do at the beginning of the session. So I'll take painter's tape and put like little targets on the wall that they can get, and you just kind of, I'll see if I can across the room.
I love it.
But that is an easy thing that you can do. It doesn't take up a lot of space, and it can be really motivating of like who pops the farthest or anything. So that's one of the activities that I use a lot in my 3 to 5 minutes at the beginning of a session.
Fantastic. And you said those were at Target?
Yep, you can get them at Target. You can get them online too, but yeah, Target,
cool.
$4.99.
Awesome. I am going to put a link to that in Facebook. Jessica says too cute. I agree. Those are adorable. Okay, so it's time for our giveaways today. We're going to do 2 winners today for our giveaways right here on Facebook Live. Kelly, what is the prize that you are giving away today?
So I am giving away a pragmatic language product that kind of focuses on nonverbal pragmatic language, and it uses the theme of zombies, which a lot of my students also like, or my clients like, and it's called Don't Be a Zombie Pragmatic Language Bundle, I think.
Fantastic, fantastic. And if somebody is interested in getting that bundle and does not win today, where can they go to find that?
They can find that on my Teachers Pay Teachers store. And it's, I think, Teachers Pay Teachers /Speech to You.
Perfect. So that's over on Teachers Pay Teachers. The second giveaway today is going to be 2 free months in my membership, the Speech Therapy Solution. If you are not familiar with that, that is my premium membership program just for speech language pathologists. We just actually released a new feature today where you get to create your own SLP survival kit in the membership. and I'll send you everything that you need to get it set up. It's a nice backup system for when you get into a session and you either didn't have time to plan or you planned something awesome and it went totally awry. You have a kit that you can grab and have ready to go therapy activities. We also have training videos, webinars, you can ask us questions, all kinds of benefits to that. So the second person in the giveaway today is going to win 2 free months into that membership. If you don't win today, though, you can head over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join and hear all about my membership, The Speech Therapy Solution. It sounds like there's like a whistle in here. Sorry. It's driving me nuts. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question. The first 2 people to respond here on Facebook Live are going to win. The first one's going to win the Zombie Pragmatic Pack. The second one's going to win 2 free months in my membership. So here's the question. What is the toy or activity that is your go-to for your tough students? So something that always gets engagement, like the poppers. What's your poppers? Write that in, and hopefully we'll have a nice list here in Facebook of all of the fun activities and toys that everyone uses to try to get those students engaged. My go-to is always my Hoberman sphere, which is like one of those balls that expands out and then it collapses. That one gets them every time, especially if they can get in it. All right, we got a couple here. So, whoops. There we go. Okay, Amy Wilthu Forrest says bubbles. All right, so Amy, you're going to win the Zombie Pragmatic Bundle. And how can she get a hold of you to get that, Kelly?
If she emails me, would that work? So my email is speech2you@gmail.com. I will send that out.
Perfect. And that is the number 2, speech to you. All right. And then Amity Johnson says Play-Doh. So Amity, you're going to win the 2 free months in my membership. You can email me at Carrie@speechandlanguagekids.com. That's Carrie. And my assistant Kenna will get you all set up with your 2 free months. Let's see what else we had. We had iPad Vet Doctor. That's a good one. Another Bubbles. Pass the Pigs game. Chalkboard markers on the table. Ooh, I like that. Ooh. And Caribou, of course. Always a good one. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for participating in that. And we're going to wrap it up for here. We hope that helped you with those stubborn kids on your caseload. If you need more help with tough cases, head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join, JOIN, and you can learn more about the Speech Therapy Solution and get your SLP survival kit set up. And Kelly, where can people find more about you and Speech to You?
They can go over to my blog, which is www.speech2you, it's the number 2 and the letter U.com.
Perfect. And then you have a Teachers Pay Teachers store too, right?
And I also have a Teachers Pay Teachers store with the same name, Speech to You.
Excellent. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. We will see you next Monday over on the Speechie Show. And in the meantime, head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com and check out all our free resources over there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for joining us today on the Speechie Show. We hope today's tips have helped you feel a little less stressed and a little more confident about your work. If you're looking for more stress busters and confidence boosters, we'd love to have you join us in the Speech Therapy Solution, where you'll get access to a huge library of premium training videos and another library of print-and-go therapy materials. You can also get help with your tough cases by joining Carrie on the weekly Q&A calls or by posting in the exclusive Facebook group. Plus, group members can join us for a monthly webinar that can be used for continuing education credit. Head on over to speechandlanguagekids.com/join to check out all the amazing benefits of the Speech Therapy Solution membership. Bye for now.